Okay.
All right. Hey.
Hello.
Hi. Happy Friday. Happy Hour Friday.
How are we all doing?
How are you doing?
Doing okay.
Me
A little
too.
tired.
Yeah. So we're coming to you from the first day after we stopped picking grapes, which started, I don't remember, when was it? August,
Yeah.
sometime in August. So we picked our last grapes yesterday, Cabernet Sauvignon, and we ended up with 121.55 tons of estate-grown fruit. But today, we're here to talk about our new Imbibers Club released wines, our 19 Signature Blend, our 18 Devon, our 17 Classic Cuvée, and our 16 Treven.
That's right.
It's a vintage vertical. Let's have some wine. It's Friday.
Let's drink a little bit.
Okay, here's that lovely sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Hello, Ron.
We are in the tasting room, by the way, so if there's any background noise,
And there's Jennifer.
it's an active tasting
It's
room.
actually inside the tasting room, which nobody has been in since March. So this is a flashback.
Yep.
Cheers.
Salud.
Okay, so this is a 2019 Signature Glen Sauvignon Blanc. As with other years, it includes a little bit of Semillon in there. The blend this year is 8%. The Sauvignon Blanc is made in stainless steel under very cold temperatures. No secondary malolactic fermentation occurs. The Semillon, conversely, finishes in French oak barrels, some of which are newer. And it goes through as much malolactic fermentation as it likes. We don't inhibit it, we don't encourage it, we just
Let it do its
let
thing.
it do its thing. With the intent of this wine being not as zingy, perhaps. It's still pretty zippy and zesty.
Yeah, we still like the acid backbone on it. But it's got a nice kind of grapefruit, lemony characteristics in the nose.
So we tend to release our wines seasonally, just as you would if you were making dishes for this time of year. And what would you have with this one? Well, my fiance is a lobster fisherman, so I would have, well, no, I don't have lobster with that one. What do you have?
You can still do, lobster or some sort of clam mussel dish. Mussel would be great.
Roast chicken?
Yeah, but I feel like this also has the acid if you want to do some kind of curry mussel in the curry coconut sauce.
You can also have it on a Friday night by itself,
Absolutely. On the front porch.
or the back,
Or the back.
or in a hammock. What else? What else do you think?
I mean, it's a great summer wine. It's super crisp. Like we said, a lot of citrus going on. Grapefruit, kind of key lime.
Yeah, it always has a little citrusy thing.
Yeah.
The interesting thing about this wine compared to Zingy, which is our 100% Sauvignon Blanc, is that the Semillon is really, it's a traditional thing they've done for years in Europe, is there to kind of tame down some of the raciness of what Sauvignon Blanc can be on its own. And yet, if you and I measure it with pH and titratable acidity, it's not really much different than Zingy.
Yeah.
The Semillon has just got a textural component that is tending to tame it down perceptually.
Yeah, just mellows it out a little bit, gives it just a little bit of roundness. The Sauvignon Blanc, like you said, has a lot of acid going on, so this just tames it back a little bit.
Wait, there's acid in wine?
Just a couple acids.
Good ones, though.
Yeah, very good
Battery
acid.
acid or anything.
It's not going to do weird things to you.
Good acid, food acid. And the price is? We don't know. How much is the price of a Sauvignon Blanc retail? $24.
$24.
Imbibers, of course, always get
We knew
20%
that.
off.
It was 24. Of course.
24.
Yeah, we knew that.
We just make it. We don't know. So. All right.
Are we fielding any questions as we're going along, or?
Feel free to type them in, share them. I've asked, but people are probably drinking.
Yeah.
It's happy hour.
Well, please send questions in if you have them as we're going along.
That's right. Dump the assistant winemaker.
Yeah.
Not possible.
Easily stumped.
Because good question. That's a hard one.
Yeah.
Yummy.
Well, we hope you like this. It's delicious.
We bottled this one last May, right?
Yep.
And it's in a very convenient screw top, so you can just go home, open it up.
Crack her open.
Crack it open.
Get the nice screw top sound.
Lands on my head.
Cool.
Alrighty. So this is Devon. Devon has been a blend made here since, probably since the very earliest days of Buttonwood, back in, I think the first release was 90 or 91. Devon is a blend of Sauvignon Blanc and Semillon, and the name loosely translates to du vin, or two wines. That was something that Betty was very much in favor of, having classic wines that went with these, or classic names that went with these wines. And the way we make this is we choose some Sauvignon Blanc, we put that to French oak, and we put some Semillon to French oak, and they vinify separately. We let both of them go through as much malolactic as they want. And then we make a blend and we put it back to barrel so that they can marry as a wine. And it stays in barrel for about another 6 months after we blend it.
And we usually throw a little bit of new oak on there too.
Yeah. And new oak, by the way, this year, new French oak was going for about 850 to 900 euro. And they last for how long when they're giving flavor? Three or four uses.
Yeah.
That smells.
Didn't Betty not want it to sound too fancy though? So that's
Not
why
too fancy.
Devon,
So
not
Devon,
doing
not
that.
too long.
Yeah.
I have to say that, she really didn't like the name Ziggy. She thought it was frivolous. So, she let me have it about that one, in her own kind of way. So this one is really a wine that's about texture as much as anything else. It's got a lot of creaminess to it. It always reminds me of creme brulee almost. There's this really kind of pretty vanilla aspect to it. It's got weight. So if you were doing butternut squash risotto or something like that, they have a lot of really big use to it. This would, it's still got nice acid, so it would still work through with that. Anybody ever does a Christmas goose, this is one to go with it. I know many people don't.
It's goose.
Christmas goose is delicious. Geese don't care.
Yeah.
Going back to the Sauvignon Blanc, how do we feel about oysters in the Buttonwood Sauvignon Blanc?
Absolutely.
We love oysters.
Yeah. I think that's great.
Yeah.
I think that could really play well with the brininess of the oysters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the oysters I like this around here, those Morave Golds.
Yeah.
Those are so good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is really cool because you still get some of the characteristics of just a Sauv Blanc on its own. So a lot of those citrus characters, but they're kind of like fattened up a little bit. So instead of like key lime, it's lemon curd, and then you get influences from barrel. So you kind of get a little like toasted marshmallow and a little bit more roundness. It's really nice.
It's really nice. This one's a little too cold. Doesn't have to be chilled a lot like the other. This is good at kind of cellar temperature, so 60, 57, 60.
Yeah.
We didn't make much of this. We just made 5 barrels. So there was only 4 times 24.
Yeah.
Yeah, not much. There's only 42 cases left. It's Friday. I can't do math in my head.
I don't.
No,
It's the end of harvest, we can't do math
Yeah,
anyways.
harvest head.
That's why I have wine ads. The computer does my conversion. for
That's
me.
right. Exactly. This is really delicious.
It's fantastic.
We don't, 3 of us here don't usually get to taste the finished product. We taste it all along the way, right? We bottle it, we write tasting notes, and then when we get to come back to it, when it's released, we write the tasting notes again.
I've never
It's very
sent
cool.
a kid to college before, but it's kind of like that. You kind of send your kid.
Will.
You said, yeah, someday. You send your kid away, and then all of a sudden during the holidays, you get to come back and see it. You taste it, and you're like, yeah, you're doing okay. Or you really need to fix yourself.
I have to say, my niece came back from college of liberal.
Oh.
My brother-in-law wasn't happy.
We're happy. We're happy for her.
Happy for her. This is really delicious, you guys. I hope you're enjoying. Any questions out there?
Diane just says that she came to visit in July and she loved the wine. So thanks,
Thank you,
Diane.
Diane.
Thanks, Diane.
Come on back.
It's really hot again today, but it should be cooling off.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird, we release these wines seasonally, right, because we're expecting to be autumn. And all week it's been 100 degrees, so.
Yeah, I feel like my palate definitely changes depending on weather and temperature.
You know what? I think this is the first time we finished harvest before they changed to daylight from
Oh, yeah.
daylight savings time.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
It was an earlier harvest.
It was early.
Earlier.
It seemed shorter.
Yeah.
No, but it was earlier, so at least we don't have to come in the dark and leave in the dark.
Yeah, very true.
One or the other.
Yeah.
Okay, the winemaker selection for this, for you Imbibers out there, was also the two rosés. So we're not going to taste those today, but they are, particularly for this kind of weather, they're perfect. And as I think I said in my newsletter, generally we're out of rosé in July or August at the latest. And this year, because of the unfortunate situation with the pandemic and the restaurants all being mostly shut down, our restaurant sales were, I mean, they're just not there. So we have some rosé, which is going to last us into Thanksgiving, which is something that I hope. I mean, I've always thought that the best wine you can have for Thanksgiving is a rosé because it goes with everything on the table. So even if you have those weird like yams with little mini marshmallows that Martha used to bring to the Thanksgiving, it even went with that. But I'm happy to have a little rosé even through the year. To me, it's not just a seasonal wine anymore. It's a wine for all year, and it always made me sad that we was run out in July. And we make as much of it as we possibly can from the block that gives us those grapes, but it was very popular. And we're happy to still have some for you to enjoy with us.
I'm always happy to have rosé.
Question from Philip on Facebook. Is Hop On or Pet Nat available?
Yes, both are available. So Pet Nat is a 2019, and that was, you made that.
Yeah, Grenache and Viognier co-ferment. Yeah, it's delicious. Unfortunately, it doesn't ship very well, so you have to come here. You have to come visit us in order to get that. But the Hop On is very available wherever you might be.
We had a tasting with some folks from Los Angeles from a nice restaurant down there, and one of their songs was here. And it's always kind of fun if you have people that have really good wine palates and a lot of wine knowledge and education, and you give them a glass of Hop On and don't tell them what it is. And it just kind of flummoxes everybody because it's still one of the only ones out there. It does have that kind of like what the heck is this kind of thing? So, but they really enjoy it.
Yeah, for anybody out there who doesn't know what Hop On is, it's a hopped Sauvignon Blanc that we do with homegrown hops here that we grow on the farm.
And so Jason is asking, did you do a hot Sauvignon Blanc this year?
We did not do a hot Sauvignon Blanc this year. We have still hop from the last hop harvest, and this hop harvest just didn't work out for us, unfortunately. So, we ran through 121 degrees in Solvang, and that was only the first of a number of pretty intense heat waves. So
A lot of things got fried.
The good news about hops is they're pretty resilient. So we have enough to make us get through the year, and hopefully we will have a hop harvest next year.
Yeah.
They're so fun too. They're odd.
So how many wines varietals do you produce a year vintage? Ooh,
Okay.
that's a loaded one.
I'll see if I can put them all out there and you can count. All right. Zingy Sauvignon Blanc, signature.
Oh wait, are we doing varietals? What was the question?
How many wines varietals do you produce a year vintage?
Why don't we do varietals?
Okay. And number of cases is generally that 8 or 9,000.
Yeah.
So varietals, we have the Monaco Vineyard out in Santa Rita Hills, which is owned by Art Kibitz. So from there we get Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. From here we grow Sauvignon Blanc, Semillon. We have one row of Viognier, Grenache Blanc, Grenache, Syrah, And Syrah Rosé, which I kind of count as different.
Okay, it pretty much is.
Merlot, Malbec, Cabernet Franc, Cabernet Sauvignon.
13. We got
So
Syrah.
that's right.
We got 2 Syrahs.
Yeah. So we.
13 different varietals. And then as
Rosé.
far as Sauvignon Blancs,
Yeah, well, so Zingy, Signature Blend, the estate Sauvignon, they're all estate, but the one that we sell through our wholesale channel.
yeah.
Devon, Muscat, Hop On,
6.
6 Sauvignon Blancs,
So 13 different varietals,
2 Rosés,
6 different Sauvignon Blancs, 2 different Rosés.
2 Red Bordeaux blends,
Yeah.
1 White Bordeaux blend.
Are
Sometimes
Are you
it-
guys all following this out there?
sometimes a Grenache
Are you taking notes?
Yeah.
There'll be
Are
a
you taking
quiz.
notes?
And I have, we have.
Whoever asked that question, this is all your fault.
We can't help it, because why not, right? But of course,
Tom,
the sales department keeps saying, try to limit it. But if something comes up, like this year, we're doing this experiment with Malbec. And it
Well,
might be-
actually, and
Oh, we forgot
Carbonate and
Martini. Yeah.
Carbonate and
I'm petting that.
Yeah.
Mm.
we like to do a lot of experimental stuff. I mean, we have, since we do a lot of different varietals, we have a lot of different fruit to play around with and do cool cutting edge things. So we have our staple, we have our flagship wines, but then on the side, we like to do little wine nerdy things too.
We do. We're wine nerds, and we say, well, what if? And I have to
Yeah.
say, they haven't always worked out.
Not always, but they
But that's how
usually.
you learn.
Yeah.
And you all wouldn't know about the ones that wouldn't work out. So,
Nope.
yeah, they go elsewhere.
so you guys already answered this, but Julie asked, are all Buttonwood wines estate, or do you also source fruit?
Hi, Julie. We only get fruit from off of the estate from the Hibbett's Ranch, and only Pinot and Chardonnay. And that's because if, Pinot or Chardonnay, but particularly this Pinot Noir was grown here, she would have a little, meltdown. It would be she would faint. It's just too hot here. So conversely, if we tried to grow any of our varietals out at the Hibbett's Ranch, Sauvignon Blanc would never ripen fully, and you'd have a Sauvignon Blanc that tasted like jalapenos. So the coolest thing about our valley is that out there in Santa Rita Hills, and I think Art's place is probably 20 some miles from here, due west, you can grow really cool climate grapes like Pinot and Chardonnay. And here we grow the warmer, thicker skinned grapes, but generally, the temperature goes down about 40 degrees at night, so we get this pretty acidity in the grapes as well. We battled that a little bit this year. We knew this heat, the first one was coming. We are very careful about the health of our wines. It's a hen's fly. So we knew that was coming. We just kept giving them some water to keep them hydrated, as we would for people or flies. And they came through fine. We picked all the Sauvignon Blanc before that heat wave. The reds, they had a little bit of an issue with the acidity, but they are very much in balance. We didn't have any real high sugar at all. I don't think we had anything higher than 24.5 bricks, so
No.
they're going to be delicious. We did have to cut off a lot of fruit due to heat damage, so it's not going to be a giant vintage release for us, but sometimes really good things come in small packages.
Yeah. Yeah, it was an interesting year.
Yeah, 2020.
Yeah. I figured.
Jason is online. He says hi.
Hi, Jason. We miss you. I miss you. Jason's my winemaker friend from Australia.
I've heard a lot about you, Jason.
Yeah. I said, but at Penfolds they do this.
Okay. Just kidding.
All right, so this is Classic Cuvée. This is our red table wine, which, what's president here? What is going on with this wine? This wine is designed to be what I call Wednesday wine. I sometimes get, all sorts of funny looks about that. Wednesday wine to me is a wine that you can really enjoy. It tastes varietal. It's a blend of Franc, Malbec, Cab Franc, and Merlot. But we choose those barrels that are very soft, very approachable right from the beginning. It tends to be more neutral oak than new oak.
Yeah.
And we put them into a blend that you don't have to worry about saving it, aging it. The tannins are really resolved. It is a wine, and we put it in a screw top so that when you go home on Wednesday or Thursday or Friday or whenever, you don't even have to look for a tool to open it. You just crack it open, pour yourself a glass of wine. You don't have to swirl and sniff or anything. You can just drink it. It goes really well. I used to call it meatloaf wine, and then I got chastised for that. People who either don't like meatloaf or are vegetarians, which is
Yeah, it's a perfect table wine. It's super approachable. Nice red fruit forward. It's not very tannic. Has a really nice mint palate. It's just a very easy to drink red wine.
So it's kind of like Trevin's little brother.
Yeah.
We bottled this one. This is a 2017. We bottled this one in May of 2019. So for us, for our red Bordeaux program, that's pretty early. And it does really well. For those of you who have been around Buttonwood for a long time, this replaced Rock Red, which was the red table wine. There was always just a component of Cabernet Sauvignon and Cabernet Franc. And we thought adding in Merlot, and particularly Malbec. With Malbec, it just got this really pretty jammy blackberry character that just, and it's velvety as far as texture. So it just kind of plushes everything out by itself.
Yeah, we usually add, as far as percentages go, Malbec is generally the least. And it has a lot of impact for a little bit that we add.
So the other thing about if it's called red table wine, there may not be an alcohol on it because by labeling requirements, anything called table wine, either red table wine or white table wine, has to be under 14%.
Will you have a Cabernet Sauvignon soon? Single label?
We do. We have to figure out when to release that. It's a 2017 as well, so it's bottled. So you should taste it.
Yeah.
Once it's not 100 degrees. It's Cabernet at 100 degrees. I'm sorry, not pleasant.
Okay, so coming soon. Is
Soon.
Cabernet Sauvignon coming soon.
That's right.
Are the Merlot, Malbec, Zingy, and Semi available?
Merlot 2017 is available. What was the other one?
Malbec,
Malbec is available.
Zingy,
Zingy, the last of Zingy. I just sent out an email about that. So if you love Zingy, grab it now. It's almost gone. There's only 2 or 3 cases left up in the winery. So we'll bottle that again December 10th, but it won't be released until February.
And semi we have to make again this year. We're out of semi.
There's a couple cases down here and there's a couple cases at the warehouse. So if you are semi people, call, email, or go online quickly. Because we didn't have a very big semi-on crop this year either.
No. Take a little bit.
Pretty good. These
Yeah.
are food.
Yeah.
These are burger. Or a portobello.
Yeah, it's nice. It's exactly what it's supposed to be.
So the other funny thing about screw tops, and this is just my weird sense of humor, I'm having a hard time not putting them back on. You're like, I always put the screw tops on. You don't put the cork back in, but what's with that? We were very reluctant to go to screw tops. We are just being, it was me, we were being stodgy. We went to screw tops a couple of years ago on wines that we think are something you should just enjoy early. And visually, that's what it means to us. So, and both myself and Brett Davenport, the owner now, when we go home, we're just getting lazy, I guess, in our life, because we just look for the things in the screw top.
This is amazing. Dear Brett Reeves, are you growing a harvest mullet? Love forever, Mogi.
Yeah. You know it. Look at this. I've been growing this since 2014, Mogi. You've been seeing it.
Here.
Oh, thank you.
It's looking good.
Now we can bun it.
It's getting weird.
We have hard hair here. Yeah. I have one of those too.
Yeah, there we go.
All right.
Love you, Morgan.
Good to see you the other day, girl.
Yeah.
All right, so here, look at this. This wine even wears a tuxedo. This is our Flagship Red. This is something that Brett and I, we try so many blends and trials of that. before we finally make a blend. We put it back to barrel, so 5 varietals. This one is 30% Cabernet Franc, 20% Merlot, 25 Cabernet Sauvignon, 18 Malbec. That's a lot of Malbec for a Treven. And then we put it back to barrel as a blend, and it's another year in barrel at least. And then we bottle it. We'll bottle the 2018 in December, and we keep it in bottle for a year before we release it. So it's a really crazy expensive way to make wine. The SRP on that wine now is $36. Maybe still, I think this is 24.
Yeah, this is
26.
fantastic. Yeah, this, as opposed to the classic cuvee, is kind of, it sometimes can be 100% new oak, or at least what we barrel it back down to. We'll make the blend and then we'll put it back down the barrel. And it's generally about 5 barrels, and usually at least 4, if not 5, all of the barrels are new oak barrels. But it's not, it doesn't smell burnt or anything. It's not like overly oaky.
No.
It's well integrated.
So Jason, I think of you whenever I make this blend because you helped me with it in 2015, I remember. All right, so.
Thank you, Jason.
Yeah, thanks, Jason. This is really delicious. It is something that, it will be better tomorrow. It does, it just needs either decanting or some time, I think, in here. It just is really pretty. It's got almost a anise, like a licorice type of character to it. It's got a really pretty structure and texture. It's not very tannic. You don't get any of that, kind of dryness on the back of your teeth.
But you can get some really cool like baking spices from all the oak, the different, and what's also cool about all the oak that we add is it's generally different cooperages too. Yeah. So it's not just one cooperage, one barrel maker. It's a few different ones. So you get this whole spice cabinet, maybe some cinnamon or even some cardamom, different spices like that are really interesting.
We don't use a lot of French oak that is really oaky. So we tend to go to the coopers that have like a medium long toast on them. Sometimes they have toasted heads, sometimes not. So all we're really looking for is a lot of tannin management with the wine, because kind of tannins from oak and tannins from the skins and the seeds kind of meld together into longer tannin chains that give you the perception of less tannin. What would you eat with this?
Yeah. You go with some steak, nice grilled steak.
Sarah, what would you have with this?
Oh, man.
Steak?
Totally.
Portobello mushrooms. That's all I can ever do vegetarian-wise, like something on a grill.
It's probably delicious.
Yes. This is really nice.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, this is definitely a wine that could stay open for 2 to 3 days.
Yeah, I think this is my favorite Treven in a couple of years.
Yeah.
So Treven was named back in the day because what we grew on the property was Merlot, Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc. Again, like Devon, Blanc, because it was kind of a combination of Spanish and French on that one. And then, after the movie Sideways, you remember what happened then? We took out 4 acres of our Merlot and we grafted it to Malbec, Grenache, and Grenache Blanc. So then we had 4 of the Bordeaux varietals on the property. And as you heard, we put all 4 of those into this blend. And we would have had to rename it something like Quatre Vents or something with a Q that would have been impossible to try to pronounce.
Not nearly as sexy.
Yeah, so it is Treven with a 4.
Treven 4. Yeah, this is fantastic.
What else?
What have you all liked the best of these 4? Any comments from the Imbibers out there?
Peanut gallery.
Yeah. Any standouts for any of y'all? No?
Anything you'd like us to make? Because we're all up for it.
Obviously, let's get some more.
Cricket sound?
More SKUs. Woo!
Yeah.
Nicole will kill me when she comes back.
Yeah.
Well then, I think it's a wrap.
Yeah. We hope you all enjoy these wines. We certainly do.
We love making them.
Yeah, we love making them for you guys. And thank you. Thank you for supporting us.
Happy Friday.
Salud.
Happy Friday.
Salud.